Dear student, today we will be talking about evolutionary evidences, that is homology and analogy. So here we'll be talking about evolution of different life forms and the evolutionary evidences. The evolution is monophyletic, that is all the living beings all living forms have evolved from a single common ancestor, and they have evolved to different species by gradual modification, adaptation, and natural selection. As all the living organisms are made up of cell and contain protoplasm, they obtain their energy by respiration, they grow and reproduce, they have similar mechanism of protein synthesis, and all have same codon. So these are the common feature of all the cell, which says that the cell has evolved from the common point. Now, what are the evolutionary evidences that we are going to study? First is the evidence from comparative anatomy and morphology, which includes homology, analogy, and vestigial organ. Then evidences from paleontology, that is of fossil record studies, connecting link, missing links. And then evidences from biogeographical distribution, which include discontinuous distribution and restricted distribution. Then evidences from embryology, that is ontogeny, recapitulate phylogeny, will be talking about this. And evidence from molecular biology, that is metabolism, blood group, protein synthesis, etc. Now, evidences from comparative anatomy. Now, these evidences are based on similarities and differences in the external and internal feature of different organ in the organism. So, let's compare first the homologous organ and analogous organ. When we compare different organ in different organism, the organ which have similar basic structure and embryonic origin but have different function, they are called homologous. Whereas when we compare the different organs in different organism, the organ which have different fundamental structure and embryonic origin but perform the same function are called analogous organ. The homologous organ, the different comparative organ in different organism may appear different, whereas the analogous organ, when it is compared in different organisms, they look like same superficially. Homologous organs have a common ancestry or lineage, while they are evolved to perform different functions. Analogous organs have different ancestry or lineage, and they evolve independently in each lineage after divergence from the ancestor. They perform similar function under the same environment. The homologous expresses divergent evolution, whereas the analogous organ, they expresses the convergent evolution. So the homologous organs are result of divergent evolution, and the analogous organ are result of convergent evolution. So this is the basic point of difference between the analogous and homologous. Now we'll be discussing certain example and see how are they different. So here, when we compare the anatomy, here the forelimb bones are modified to perform the different function, but they follow same pattern in the arrangement of different bones. So they are known as homologous because origin is same and the function is different. So here you can see the cat, human, whale and bat. Okay, the same origin of bones are there from humerus to radius, and ulni to carpal, metacarpal and phalanges. So from inside toward the outside of the body, similar organization you will see in all. Okay, but the human hand is used for some function. Okay, the whale uses its flipper for swimming, the bat uses its wing for flying. So functions are different. Now here again you can compare the humerus, the radius, the ulna, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, which are there in all. Okay, so this is how they are using for swimming, flying, running, grasping. Okay, so horse use it for running, human use it for grasping, and the seal uses, or whale use it for the swimming. Okay, now here you need to consider these two. Let's talk about the comparison between the bird and the bats. Okay, now when they are compared as a modification of forelimb, okay, of early reptile, then they are known as homology. This we are talking about the bird, because it has said that the bird have evolved from the reptile, whereas the bat, they have evolved from the mammals. Okay, so the homology is that they are doing different function, but their organization of bone is different, as we have discussed. But the bird wing differ from that of the bat in number of digit and in having the feather for the flight. So moreover, the power of the flight arose differently in them, because they have different origin. The bird evolved from the reptile, and the bat evolved from the mammals. So in this sense, they are analogous. Okay. Now the wing of bird are made up of feather and that extend all the arms. However, the wing of bat consists of flap of skin that stretches between the bones of finger, but both wings perform flying. So they are analogous again in this sense. So important is how we say that this is analogous and this is homologous. Now morphological and anatomical comparison. So when we are comparing different, you can say wings of insect and that of bat and that of bird, like that. So analogous organ, the basic structure of wing differ in insect, birds and bat, but perform the same function. So why insect wing and bird wings are analogous? You can answer. Why insect wing and bird wing are homologous? You can answer. Okay. Now if you look at here, differential skeletal structure. Okay. The same selection pressure is acting on the wing. The bird feather originated from the forelimb. So you can see the bird feather originated from the forelimb. The bat wing originated from the forelimb and membrane of the skin of the abdomen. So their origin is different, but they perform the same function, so they are analogous. Now if you compare the wing of insect and wing of bird, then the insect have two pairs of wing, whereas the birds, they have one pair of wing. The wing lack bone in case of insect, whereas the birds have bone. Okay, so common adaptation, they have adapted to live in the air. So in doing so, they have evolved the wing, but their origin is different, so they are analogous in that sense. Now let's consider some example from the plant side. If you see the potato and sweet potato, the potato is underground stem, whereas the sweet potato is underground root. So potato is modified stem due to presence of nodes, internodes, scaly leaves, whereas sweet potato is modified root because of the absence of all these structure nodes and internode. Moreover, you can see secondary roots arising from the primary modified root. So they perform similar function of storing the starch, and since they are different in origin and have the same function, so they are analogous. Now next we'll just consider the study of the aerial stem. So here you can consider these are the cladodes. Cladode is nothing but it is the modified stem which perform the function of photosynthesis, is called cladode. So in certain plants, the cladode is in the shape of leaf. So here you can see this is actually the cladode. Okay, so here the flower is born, here the fruit is born, like that, and this is the stem. So if you see here, this is ruscus acute lectus, and this is asparagus. Okay, their shape is different. The shape of the claudette is different. Here it is leaf shape, it is flattened, but their origin is same. Okay, and their function is also same. So we are not comparing them, but we are comparing the cladode with the normal plant. The normal plant have the leaf, but here the modified stem is called cladode. So this is not leaf, it look like leaf, and it also perform the function of leaf, that is photosynthesis, but this is stem. So when any cladode is compared with a normal plant, it is example of analogy, because the cladode appear leaf-like, but actually the stem and the branches, they are actually the stem and branches. Therefore, the branch of Ruscus and the leaf of normal plant look similar and carry the same function with different origin. So they are known as analogous. Now next you have to compare. This is phyllocladode. Okay, and this is cladode. Okay, so phyllocladode, there is no branching. Okay, one phyllocladode is arising from the another. Okay, there is no you can say stem, and there is no other modification of a stem that exists, whereas here you can say cladode, the stem exists and the modification of the stem both exist. So if you compare the phyllocladode and cladode, the stem and branches are modified for the photosynthesis in phyllocladode, whereas in cladode only the branches are modified for the photosynthesis. And this has limited growth, this has unlimited growth. Example Aponcia, and here examples are Ruscus and asparagus. So it has both nodes and internode, whereas this has only internode. So here the origin differs, but the function is same, that is photosynthesis. So phyllocladode and cladode both have different origin, but both perform the same function, that is photosynthesis. So they are analogous. Now there is another term called phyllodes, okay, which is different from phyllocladode and cladode. So it is the flattened modified petiole or rachis that appears leaf-like. Okay, and phyllodes and cladode, because this the origin is petiole of leaf, and this has the stem origin. So phyllodes and cladode are the analogous because of the same function and different origin. So we'll take few more example. Now you can see you just see the thrones over here. These are the thrones and these are the spines. So thrones always arise from the stem. The spine, whatever shape they are, maybe small or big, they arise from the leaf. Okay, and passiflora, you can see the tendril. So here you can see the tendril and the bougainvillea throne, they are arising from the same at the axil of leaf, or you can say modification of axillary bud. Here you can see throne of this and spine of barbaris. Okay, they have different origin, this from the stem, this from the leaf. The throne of bougainvillea and tendril in passiflora or cucurbita both arise from the axillary bud but perform different functions. So the throne provide the protection and tendril provide the support. So this is how they differ. So they exhibit homology. Whereas the throne is the modified sharp pointed stem. It occurs in the axil of leaf where a branch would normally develop, whereas the spine is the sharp pointed leaf. So both have different origin but perform the same function of protection. In case of bougainvillea, the throne and the spine of barbaris are analogous structures. Now you compare the another here, the tendrils over here and the tendrils. So this is modification of leaflet at the apex region, they are arising. Here again the axillary bud. So different function is same, that is, and they have different origin. So tendril of pea is modified leaf or leaflet, while that of the passion flora is modified axillary bud, but they look similar and has similar function. Okay, so they are analogous. So There are many more examples of analogous and homologous, like if you compare divergent evolution, or you can see pitcher plant, Venus flytrap, Poinsettia, cactus. They are all modification of leaf. Here the leaf is modified to pincher. Here some you can see these spines meant for the trapping of the insect. Here they act as a bract. Here they are spiny. So all these modification of leaf are adapted to do different function, but they have same origin, so they are called homologous. And similarly, all the modification of the stem and root are homologous. Rhizome of ginger, tuber of potato, when you compare, then they are homologous. Another proof of which comes from the morphology and anatomy is the vestigial organ. Now these organs were present, were well developed and functional in ancestors, but rudimentary and non-functional in the present day organism. Like nictitating membrane, you can compare owl, horse and the human. Okay, so there is hardly any nictitating membrane, but it is present in a very reduced form, whereas in the owl it is in the prominent this thing. Nictitating membrane is the transparent and translucent third eyelid present in some animal that can be drawn across eye. And nictitating membrane provide a layer of protection during activities such as swimming, resting, etc., and also moisten the air while maintaining the visibility. So this is the function in the ancestors. And then if you compare the wisdom teeth, help our ancestor to be able to eat coarse raw food necessary for survival, as there were no tool available to cut process the raw food. Wisdom teeth grew in their jaw to give them more chewing power for this purpose. Then you can also see the tailbone, which is called coccyx. Tailbone help our ancestor with mobility and balance, but when humans started walking, the tail started vanishing and the vertebrate merged to form coccyx. Vermiform appendix was functional in our herbivore ancestors, where it was used to digest leaves and a hard part of plant, and this was considered to be extended part of cecum but reduced in the present man. So these were the evolutionary evidences from the anatomy and morphology. Thank you.